A pair of explosions rocked the Boston Marathon this afternoon as runners were still crossing the finish line. At least 3 people were killed, including an 8-year-old child. More than 100 people have been injured. The 2 explosions happened within seconds of each other near the finish line of the race. The deadly blast knocked runners off their feet and triggered mass chaos. Now, the investigation is ongoing, involving the FBI along with state and local officials. President Obama also vowed to seek justice and promised Boston would heal.
Boston is a tough and resilient town, so are its people. I'm supremely confident that Bostonians will pull together, take care of each other, and move forward as one proud city.
Counterterrorism officials tell NBC News that multiple explosive devices were found at the scene. Well, Oregon is most definitely a sanctuary for runners. The Boston Athletic Association reporting some 350 Oregonians ran in the Boston Marathon today, a dozen of them from right here in the Rogue Valley. Tonight we hear from 3 of those long-distance runners who say they are grateful to be alive, and they recount their experiences as the bombs detonated near the finish line. Distance runners describe an ideal day for the Boston Marathon that would soon turn chaotic. Some of the world's elite runners gathered in Boston to compete in one of the most prestigious marathons in the country, the 117th running of the Boston Marathon, but the first time for Ashland's Mark Skillman.
Been training hard for a year to get here, and I was one of the lucky ones, Laura, that I actually got to come across the finish line.
Skillman completed his 26.2 miles, crossing the finish line just minutes before the 2 bombs went off around 3 Eastern time.
All of a sudden, I heard a loud explosion, and it sounded like a cannon, that would normally go off at the beginning of a race, And I kind of thought, that's weird. Why would they do that now? After that, another one went off twice. I was like, no, that's not right. There's something horrifically wrong here, and that's when I had the feeling, A, I got to make sure my wife's okay. B, I got to get the heck out of here.
Explosion was so powerful that some runners on the course were knocked to the ground. The majority of those injured were spectators.
So strong, it literally almost blew my hat off. And everybody started running the other way. There were a few people that were running over towards them to help out the injured, and there were some really bad injuries.
Some of the victims reportedly lost limbs. And waiting for Skillman near the finish line, his wife Stacy and some friends from Grants Pass. This is a picture taken near the site of the explosion just 15 minutes before the terrifying blast that killed 3 people and injured more than 100 others. For survivors like Skillman, he says the day has been an emotional roller coaster. And he says he feels anger towards those responsible.
Our event was stolen from us today. We had 26,000 people that trained really hard to be here, and some coward took it away from us.
Other local survivors say they are overwhelmed with a heavy heart.
It's supposed to be a celebration and a time of happiness, and that definitely got shattered a little bit.
And Medford's Justin Rosas, who also completed the marathon and witnessed the unspeakable, says lives will never be the same. He writes, "We have been crying, grieving, praying, and caring for one another since the tragedy occurred. We long to be back in Southern Oregon." Well, Rosas says the running community is resilient. He also said, quote, "Someone recklessly careened into our sanctuary today and made it different." But he said they did not destroy it, as our community cannot be destroyed by cramps, fatigue, or terror. Now, Southern Oregon running enthusiasts will dedicate a trail run this Sunday to the victims of the Boston Marathon tragedy. They plan to run around Lost Creek Lake with donations for every mile run going to the victims. And for more information, you can visit the website right there on your screen.